Hey guys, for a while I've wanted to do a video introducing people into CAD, but introducing it into a way that's practical for the RC world. Now, trying to jump right into a CAD program without any prior info can be a little intimidating, but if you have a goal in sight, something simple, and you find a program that you can get a little bit of help with, in the end you can learn it pretty quickly and you can kind of grow from those skills. Now, I didn't get right into this video earlier when I wanted to do it because I wanted to find a program that was A, free, and B, could find for use on multiple platforms. Now, SolidWorks came out with a 2D drafting program here recently for free called DraftSight. Now, I downloaded it, played around with it a little bit, and I think it's going to work great for us. It's a fully functional 2D drafting program that you can export into popular, usable drawing formats. Now, things like Google SketchUp, while they're okay and they can give you some 3D views and things like that, in the end, it is not a mechanical drafting program that I care for at all. Now, this one, you can export a DXF and things like that, which is something that some of those other programs can do. However, the tolerances and things like that in this program are much more suited for the type of things that I like to do. Now, some of you may remember earlier this winter, I had started this Sakura D3 drifting little project. Now with that, I also picked up this Tamiya racing trailer head body. It was a little bit hard to find. I think I found it out of Japan finally. But when I had first started this project, I had this idea that I wanted to add this rear wing structure. Now I had kind of mocked something up using a axial exo rear wing and just a couple of pieces of aluminum. Now I want to come up with something different than just those pieces of aluminum. This was just kind of to find out the height and sweep that I wanted. But I think this I can turn into a decent example of something to show you as far as a practical example. Now again, this is going to be a 2D drafting introduction. 2D skills will transfer to 3D drafting programs, but I suggest having a good solid base of 2D drafting underneath of you. Now you can design and come up with all the 3D information you need within there just with some basic style top, front, side views. So don't be overwhelmed or think that you can't handle something more complex in this program. But in later videos, what I'll do is I'll show you how to take that design, then I'll move it into a 3D drafting program where I finish it out so that I can in the end 3D print this part. We're gonna get right into it. For this, I'm gonna be using the DraftSight package on my MacBook Air. I wouldn't normally be doing drafting on my Mac, but it's nice that this is available cross-platform. Other than that, really the only thing that I'm going to use is a simple metal ruler. I would normally design with a caliper or something like that, something more precise. But for something this simple and this simply aesthetic, I'm going to be able to pull off some simple dimensions with it and be able to keep this at a pretty high level as to not get buried down in details that you guys don't really need to be worrying all that much about right now. But you'll be able to take these skills and transfer them nicely into whatever of your own projects that you would like. So we'll start by launching our DraftSight program. So here you've got your basic CAD interface. This is going to look pretty similar on a lot of 2D drawing packages with your window here where you're going to draw, a command window below where you'll find some information when you're using different tools or when you're asked to key in information from the keyboard. This down here is your properties. We're not going to use layers or anything like that for today. We can get into some of those more advanced symbology type things later. Mostly where we're going to live today is up in this little toolbar. So we're going to jump right into it. Basics of just about any drawing is going to be the line tool. Now, right here, you're going to see this these two arrows, X and Y. Basically, what that is talking about is that's your 0, 0 point, your origin. So I like to draw based about the origin. It's just kind of a good general drafting technique. It's just something that you'll find that it helps you for a number of different reasons. So in general, just take my advice and start about the 0, 0 point. Now, when I say 0, 0, what you can actually do is you can type in those things on the keyboard and it will automatically snap your line there. So you'll go into your keyboard and you'll type 0, 0, meaning 0 in the X direction first and then 0 in the Y direction next. And then from there, you can use the space bar to enter. So now that line of the first point of that line has snapped to that origin point. So for now, we are going to start by using that x-axis lock. What I want to do for this is I'm going to use some dimensions off of that part that I had made earlier, kind of as my prototype. You wouldn't have to have this, but for me it's just helpful because I know the size that I want. So one other thing that you can do is you can key in the initial dimension that you want. So for mine, I want the base of this thing to be 1.75 inches. Now you can see that I keyed that in on the keyboard, and that shows up down here in the command window. So once I've typed that in, I'll put the line in the direction I want to go, and then again I'll hit the space bar. Now as I zoom in, I can get that frame of reference, seeing that this line here is 1.75 inches long and in the x-axis direction. Now, in CAD, there is several times when you're going to draw a line that is simply called for a construction line. You're going to end up deleting it, but you want to do it just to kind of get a frame of reference for several things. You can do this all by key-in points as well, but in general, sometimes it's nice to use those construction lines, and it can be very quick once you really already kind of know what you're doing. So we're going to come back up, we're going to grab our line tool again. Again, I'm going to type in 0, 0 just to lock onto my origin point. After I type that, I'm going to hit spacebar, and that locks on. I want this piece 3.75 inches tall, so I'll type that in on the keyboard. It shows up down here in the command line, and then I'm going to snap that into the y-axis. Now that gives me my height. Now from there, I can just draw a line. Just any length I want. It's just kind of out there. That just kind of gives me the measurement that knows up there is about 3.75 inches up, or exactly 3.75 inches up. So next I'm going to come up here, grab my line tool again. I'm going to let my cursor snap on to the end of that first line and left click to select. Then I'm going to kind of come up here and kind of look at the angle that I want, kind of just judge exactly the amount of sweep I want. I could measure my example part, but for now I just kind of want to play this loose. So I'm going to come in here, find something I like, and then I'm just going to click up in here. Now I left that long, but I did that for a reason. I want to show you guys some other tools that we'll get to show you some of the trimming functions. There's always a lot of ways that you can draft, but I want to show you just a number of different tools. So I'm going to show you just a few different ways to do different things. I'm going to start off by showing you some of the modify tools down here. Now over here you can see a copy parallel. Now to do that, you can type in a distance down in your key window where it says to specify a distance. You can come in, and I'm going to go with 1 for 1 inch. Now I've hit spacebar to enter that. Now I'm going to come in here and select this line, come to the left, and then hit click to select it. I can also adjust some of the snaps that I have. I can come down here to this E-snap and then right click, go to settings, and I also want to turn on nearest. This allows me to do drafting where I can select some parts of the line where it'll snap on where I haven't come to either an end point or a midpoint center. There's a lot of these different types of snap locations, but I want to turn on that nearest for what we're doing now. I'm going to come back up here, click on my line tool again. We're going to come back to the origin. It's going to automatically snap to that point. I'm going to come up, and you can see that little hourglass looking yellow symbol. Now if I was to click, it would snap to wherever on that line I was nearest. For this one, I'm going to come up and allow it to select that intersection, and then I'm going to left click again to select. Now I've got another line going on. I'm going to hit escape to get rid of that. Now again, I was talking about construction lines earlier. This would be one of them since I copied it parallel. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to come over here and left click on the delete button or in here in the modify window. Now I was talking about trimming earlier, and we're going to do that now. So right here we have an extend button and the trim button. For this one we're going to use the trim. Now it says to specify the cutting edge. Now in this example we're going to have two different cutting edges. One is going to be this line here, which will cut this line and delete that part. So we're going to select it, and then I'm going to hit space bar. Now it wants me to select the items that I want to be trimmed, so like this one here. So it trimmed it to the proper length. Now there's another way that you can also use this tool. We click on it again, it says select cutting edges. You can actually select two. So select this one and this one. Again, hit spacebar, and now I can trim over here and I can trim over here. I hit escape to deselect and exit that tool, and now I have the basic shape of the side of that wing that I want to create. I selected this construction line I had going on over here, and I'm going to delete it now. So we have the basic shape, something that you could simply do in a lot of different ways, but we're going to get into some of the ways that this makes you can make this more detailed now. And for that, I'm going to get back and I'm going to use that offset again. So after selecting the offset, I'm going to select my distance. For this, we're going to use a 1/4 inch, so 0.25. And then I'm going to hit the space bar again. I'm going to offset this line, this one too, and the bottom. Now that's just kind of getting me started. We're going to make this a little bit more complex. We're going to come in and grab the line. We're going to go from this corner down to this corner. Then I hit escape to exit, grab another one, come from here, back up to this corner as well. Now I'm going to go back to that offset tool again, and I'm going to go to 0.125, which is half of 1/4, and I'm going to offset on both sides. So now we have kind of a mess going on. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab those two lines that I had that gone from corner to corner with. Those were construction lines, so I'm going to delete those out of there. We're going to come in, we're going to use the trim tool again, and I'm going to select the outer bounds of this center window that I'm going to create. Then I'm going to hit the space bar to exit. I'm going to start trimming all of these lines to try and kind of clean up what I've got going on here. You can use your scroll bar to zoom in. I am using a mouse with this just to easily navigate around. So while I'm at it, I can also trim the edges of those boxes, of that outer box that I had created. And I'll hit escape to exit. Now, after looking at the shape, not something I really care for, so I want to delete it. But while I'm at it, I want to show you one little trick that you may not have noticed right away. Now, if you click and drag left, anything that crosses that box, it will select when you click accept. However, if you were to click and drag right, only elements that are completely within that blue box will be selected. So here, if I hit enter, nothing was selected. If I come up here, if I go halfway across this top line here, nothing is selected. But if I go all the way across it and hit select, only that top line is selected because only it was completely within that box. If I do the same thing the opposite direction, I'll get all kinds of line work because all of these lines crossed that box. So just a simple tip. So we're going to come back down here, we're going to click and drag left, select all of those lines, and then delete them. Now, for this example, I'm just going to kind of go through a quicker version of roughly what I want to make this thing look like. While I was creating the new inner shape that I wanted, I also ran across a couple of things. Now, since I had already trimmed the lines that I was offsetting, I came up a little short here. Now for this, what we're going to use is the extend button over here. So we're going to select the extend tool. We're going to come over here, select this line as well as this line down here. Then we're going to hit spacebar. Now we select the items that we want to extend. So we're going to click this one to trim to that length, or to extend to that length. And we're going to come down here and click this one as well. Then we're going to go through the same trim that we did before. Now we came up with something that is the basic shape of the side of the structure that I want to use for this wing. Something extremely simple. But maybe this shape isn't for everyone, or maybe you're not 100% convinced that this is the style you want to go with. The nice thing about CAD is that you can make changes, or you can make multiples, and you can kind of decide as you go. So say we come in here and select everything. We come over and use the copy function. When we select it, we click, and then we just drag and make a new copy over here. Then, or maybe we make 2 copies. Then hit escape to deselect. You can kind of come in here and you can just delete all of this in here. Then after you've deleted it, you can just play around with more options. Maybe we want to make a construction line down the center. And maybe we want circles down the whole thing. So maybe you click and go down and specify a point. So we come down and we specify a 0.125 inch radius. And we look at that, and we come in and we grab the move button right here. We select the center of it, and we come over here and we look and we're like, maybe that's too small. So maybe I delete it. And then I'll come in and I'll start a circle and I'll specify 0.25 inch radius. I'll select it, come in, hit the move button, snap to the center. I'll come in here and I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good towards the top. And I'll select one right there. Then I can grab it. I can use the copy function. Come over here. It'll automatically snap to the center. I can come down. Maybe I don't know exactly how far I want to come down. There is a center snap. Is that where I want to go? Maybe I want to go a little bit different. Now I can just type in a distance. Maybe I type in 1.5, meaning 1.5 inches. I can kind of come down. I'll let this snap to that line wherever. But being that I've already typed 1.5, when I hit the spacebar button, it will automatically go to 1.5 inches down. At this point, you can really get to see the benefits of CAD, especially at this point where you're just playing around with designs and you don't know exactly what your design is already, or you want to play around with different styles. So use this as an example to lead yourself into playing with CAD on your own project, somewhere where maybe you want to play around with some style a little bit, or you have a design that you know that you want to build to specific dimensions, but you want to have a nice paper copy of a template to use to make your part by hand. So, pretty simple little project for today. We did something simple here, but you can do simple things that will help you on your own projects. Battery plates, a number of things that all you need to do is you can draw your template, and that allows you to easily transfer it over to your plastic or your aluminum or whatever you're working with. And then you can easily cut out exactly to the design that you had already planned. So don't think that just because you did it in CAD, you have to have a machine go do it now. Just print it out and then use that super nice template that you've created for yourself for your own custom part. So CAD can be very helpful even if you're doing it by hand still. So use technology to your advantage. It's something that can really just up the quality of your builds and of the parts that you make. So hopefully this helped out some of you, and if you guys have more questions or examples or things like that you'd like to see, let me know, and hopefully we can maybe build this into something that is helpful for a lot of you and maybe you can use as you grow your CAD skills. So that's all for now, and we'll see you guys on the next one.